Now that we added the role ID inside the users table, we also have to change the parameters that we need in order to create a user. For example, here we need a role ID. So when we create a user now, we need also its role to be created. The same is for the update also. And in the user create request, we have to add role ID to be required. Now every user will be created with the role ID. We also need to make the connection between the user and the role. To do that, we need to add a method here, public function role. This will connect our user with its role. Return this belongs to role class. So what did I do here? When we get the user object, if we want to get the role that this user object has, we just have to use this role function and it will automatically show the role to us. Let me show it. So in order to see the role here, we have to use Laravel with relation, and here we'll add role. Let's do the same for the show method, and it will return it to our API. Let's try it on Postman now. We'll get the first user. As we can see, we successfully retrieved the role object, but we are getting also the role ID. We don't want two role IDs to appear here, so we need to format this result set that we are getting. To do that, we need to use API resources. Let's create one now. PHP artisan make resource user resource. Let's go to the user resource now. So the idea behind resources is that we define what fields or properties we will show on the API. So here I will return an array. For the user, I want to return the ID, this arrow ID. So this is how we show a property with this. We want also the first name, last name, email, and the role. In this case, I will just use this arrow role. So this property that we added here, we can access it directly, this arrow role, and it will work fine. We can remove this with now. Let's create a variable user that is equal to this user, and we will return a user resource that accepts the user as a parameter. Let's see how it looks like. Open Postman, and the result will be ID, first name, last name, email, and role. So the data is formatted correctly. We also have a data in the beginning, so this is fine too. Now let's deal with the index. Let's remove this part here and let's introduce a variable. So this will be users. Here we will return user resource collection with the users. So for the single item, we say new resource. For a collection, we say user resource collection. Let's see how it looks like. So remove the one here. We can see that the role is showing correctly. We also have the pagination information with it. So this is how we use resources. Now let's copy this line here and add it to all our calls. And here the same. Now every user request will return a user resource, which is fine because we know exactly what every API will return. Now let's create another type of model. Let's create the products. First, let's create the migration. PHP artisan make migration, create products table. Let's go to the products table. So now let's add the columns that we need for the products. The first column is title, which is a string. The second one is text, which is the description. And this should be nullable. The third one is a string, which is the image. A product should have an image. And the fourth one is a decimal price. So we will create a simple product with a title, description, image, and price. Let's migrate. PHP artisan migrate. Now let's create the model. PHP artisan make model product. We also need the controller. PHP artisan make controller product controller. We also need to make a factory and a seeder to populate the product. So let's create the factory first. PHP artisan make factory product factory. And PHP artisan make seeder product seeder. Let's go to the product factory. Here change the model with product. And let's set the title. Faker will create a text with 30 characters. Description. We will just set a text. Image. There is an image here, image URL, so it should be a string. Price, faker, number between 10 and 100. So we completed the factory. Now let's go to the product seeder. call factory product class. We will create 30 products. Create. Let's set this product to the database seeder. Now let's see the database. We don't want to run PHP artisan db seed because this will run the role seeder and user seeder all over again. So we need to specify the class that we want to run. So class would be product seeder. So the product seeder has successfully executed. Now let's see it on the database. Let's refresh. We have the products and we can see that is populated now. We have a title, description, an image, a price, and a created ad and updated ad. Next, we will add the API routes. Now let's add the routes for the products. Products, product controller. Let's go to the product controller. And now let's implement all the methods. The first one is index. Before completing this method, we also need to create the product resource. Make resource product resource. Let's go to the product resource. Here we will return ID, this ID, title, this title, description, image, and price. So we set up the resource. Now let's use it. Let's get all the products. Product, I will use directly paginate here. And return product resource collection products. Let's update PHP artisan IDE models. Yes. Now it will highlight paginate. Second one is show. Show with ID. Return new product resource product find ID. Now it's store. For the moment I will not create the store. The same applies for the update because they are a little bit different than the other store and updates. And I will implement delete. Destroy, sorry.